Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Big Mistakes in Real Estate. We are going to be going over one of the most important things that every new real estate agent needs to know, and that is what websites and apps should you know about to make sure that you are taken as a professional. So, who is this podcast and who is this channel for? This channel is specifically for real estate agents, realtors who are trying to either get started or continue to grow in their career, and they kind of want their business to be focused on technology. I am younger. I am embracing all the technology. And I've seen in the real estate industry in particular, there are leaps and bounds in technology, but there's one huge issue. There's not a whole lot of training on that. So that's one thing that I'm going to focus on with the YouTube channel. And as far as the podcast, Big Mistakes in Real Estate, this is the podcast about all the huge mistakes that everybody else is making. And if you listen to the podcast, you don't have to make them. So these are mistakes that cost me personally a couple $100 to a couple $1,000. And we're going to talk to some guests later on in a couple episodes about $1 million mistakes, if not, the B word. I don't want to be throwing around the B word too early, though. You know what I mean? Woo. So we're going to be getting to that right after this.
Everyone makes mistakes, but these mistakes can cost you thousands in commission. Are you a real estate agent? And learn from the Big Mistakes in Real Estate podcast with your host, Isaac Ocean.
All right, so we're just going to jump straight into it. I try to get right into the meat. So the first app website we are going to be talking about is going to be your MLS. That's your multiple listing service. This is the bad boy that kind of makes you a real estate agent. You can't get access to one unless you have a real estate license. So here is why this is important. Once you get your access to your MLS, you are going to be able to research your competition. You want to know what real estate agents around you are just killing it, because most of them honestly aren't. So when you know who the competition is, whenever you walk into a listing presentation, you can pull up the competition right in front of them and say, hey, look, Jim Bob over here only sold one house back in 1994. And here I am selling 10 this year so far. Who are you going to pick? The guy that sold a house 20 years ago or me? And it's pretty cool. You can show that in live time. So another reason that this is so important is this is how you put your listings on the MLS. So Trulia, Zillow, all those good places out there, they're the ones who grab this information from the MLS. So if you don't have access to the MLS, well, then nobody's going to be really able to see your listings unless you go to like fsbo.com or something. So another really key reason that this is important is the hot sheets. So your hot sheets, you're going to be able to basically get the daily pulse of the real estate market, which is really cool. So you get to see your listings, you get to see what sold, you get to see what canceled, you get to see, I wanted to shout out John Faust. I see you. Thank you very much for tuning in live. I appreciate you. So the hot sheets are super important for all of those reasons. So another huge reason to have access to the MLS is these things called subscriptions. Now, subscriptions are like, how do I say this? In YouTube, you know how you subscribe to a channel? Well, subscriptions in the MLS are like buyers subscribing to a real estate agent. So you have to get all of their qualifications for what they're looking for their subscription. But once they have all those qualifications, say it's a 2-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot, allows dogs. Matthew Flynn, I wanted to say thanks for joining in. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. So all this stuff is really important. And once you have it in these subscriptions and you have all the information that the client is looking for, all you need is their email address and their first and last name, or even their first name. Actually, I don't even think you need their last name. Then you hit their subscription, and every time a home that comes up with a 2-bed, 2-bath, yada, yada, every requirement that they want, they can automatically get that immediately, which is insane. You don't have to do anything. Oh, and did I mention if they click on one of the homes in one of the emails that you send a subscription for, that you get an additional email letting you know what house they looked at? How powerful is that? You barely have to subscription and just watch them just go through. You just have to reach out to them every once in a while and see where they're at in the process. So to get access to your MLS, you're going to be looking right around $800 here in Palm Beach County. I don't know what it is nationwide. I don't know how much the fees are in your MLS. Post it in the comments below. So IMapp. IMapp's going to be another important resource that you're going to have once you get access to your MLS and you pay your fees. So you're going to be able to do things like research. You can just drive down the street. Here, I'll paint an example. Say you're an investor or you're working for an investor. You drive down the street and you see a house that's in pretty bad condition and you think it would be great for your investor. Well, all you have is an address. How do you find the owner? IMapp. IMapp. You can reverse look up and they'll tell you exactly when they bought, and they have the whole history, the tax rolls, they have everything inside of this. Also, these have the hard to find records on here too for the same reason. Like when you put in an address here, the amount of information that comes up is pretty astounding. Not only that, but you also get free access to mailing lists that you can create inside of IMapp. Again, this is one of those programs that is so freaking powerful for you and your business that you need to spend the time to learn how to use this bad boy right here, because it is way worth it. This is how you make money. So, and this is all included in your MLS membership. And again, I think that's right around some bucks. Okay, so now Inman is another huge resource that you are going to want to dabble in. Honestly, as a new real estate agent, this is not that important. This will have people like Matthew Goldstein, who just liked my video, who's one of the biggest real estate agents in Palm Beach County. The man is a beast. So Inman is important once you kind of get your career rolling, but it's important to know because big real estate agents, this is where they get their news. We're going to talk about Realtor Magazine here in a little bit, but this is a step above Realtor Magazine. We'll get into Realtor Magazine here in a minute. So what this is, you get the latest updates. This is $99 for your first year and $199 a year after that. So the other program that I want to talk about here is Form Simplicity. Form Simplicity, the name sounds really great. I don't know how simple I would say it is. It's quite complicated, especially if you don't know how to use it. They just updated it from an old version. So like you have half the people in your office using the old version and then half the people using a new version. And if you have to do anything in between those versions, it's very confusing, but it is worth it. And here's what it does. I have a client right now. He's all the way in Ecuador. If I need him to just initial something real quick, I literally can jump on Form Simplicity, send it over to him. And as long as he has an internet connection or a Wi-Fi, boom, I can get him to sign. And it really is easy once you learn how to. So that is $79, and that is a yearly fee. Next, we're going to talk about Realtor Magazine, which I just brought up. So this thing is actually really cool. And at first I was like, these are gimmicky, and I was throwing them out. There's a bunch of advertisements for all these other businesses and stuff. And I kind of thought it was a little too gimmicky for me. But then I started to dive into the meat. And I got to tell you, Realtor Magazine, at least in Florida, they have a local magazine just for my state. So when anything happens at the state level, I get to find out through my Realtor Magazine. It only comes once a month, and I get to read it in 20, 30 minutes, and boom, I'm done. And I get to get all of my education. And I sound like I know what I'm talking about because I know what I'm talking about. Because that's one of... OBS Studios disconnected. So I'm not sure if that disconnected my Facebook Live, but my podcast is still recording, so I'm just going to keep rolling here. So Realtor Magazine is state specific, which is absolutely incredible because it makes you sound like a professional. And this is included in your MLS membership, and you just get it once a month. Now you have to make sure sometimes you'll think you did not get your Realtor Magazine when in fact you actually did, because it got sent to your office and not to your home, because mine goes to my office, so I have to pick it up there. Now, the next free resource we're going to be talking about is the Florida Legal Hotline. This thing is pretty great because it has all of your legal questions answered. Now, I want to paint a scenario for you. You're a brand new real estate agent, you're reading through the contract, and you have a question, and you're like, I don't know what this question is inside of this contract. Guess who you can call? Florida Legal Hotline. So each state, as far as I am aware, at least for if you're a real estate agent or a realtor, you will have access to this legal hotline, and you can call them for your state specific number. I'm not sure, but you should just be able to Google, your state realtor hotline and be able to find it. So this was a little disappointing, and I want to kind of manage your expectations because my bubble was bursted by the Florida Legal Hotline. It's only 4 contracts. So if you're trying to do anything else except specifically for contracts, then you're probably, but this is included in your membership. So on top of that, there's also this thing called the Florida Tech Hotline. So if you are not technologically advanced, you don't know how to hook up a microphone with a Rodecaster Pro and do all this crazy Facebook Live stuff, guess who can help you? Yeah, the Florida Tech Hotline. So your state should also have some sort of tech hotline that you guys can just call and get help for, getting your stuff set up. So next, we are going to be talking about the DBPR website. So what this is, the Department of Business and Professional Regulations. So why is this important? This is important for you, and it's important for me as a real estate agent, because if this is where you can look up your license, verify who has a license, you can check on other agents to make sure that they have a license. Shout out to Vincent Masterson. Thanks for listening. And you can confirm your continuing education and your fees are all up to date. So if you're wondering, oh man, I wonder, it's been 2 years since I was in school. I should probably do something about that. I wonder where I go. That's where you go. DBPR. Again, that's the Department of Business and Professional Regulations, and that website is free. So another website you are going to want to set up and a couple different profiles is Yelp. Yelp reviews for real estate agents are really important. Yelp has gotten some flack, and I personally am getting away from Yelp, but Yelp, Google reviews, these are realtor.com reviews, Trulia reviews. You have to set up a profile for all of these. And honestly, you should be on Yelp, even if they're getting bad flack or whatever, because the more reviews you have online, and I know from personal experience, a client is probably only going to review you maximum 2 places if you are awesome. If you were okay, you'll get lucky to get reviewed once, and you'll be lucky if it's a 5-star. So you want to have your online presence everywhere that you can and make it easy. And this is something that you can set up right in the beginning to have all of your everywhere, so that somebody can just come in and click a review and bada bing, bada boom, you're done. So that's why it's important, because eventually when you get enough reviews, when people look up your agent and you have 10 reviews and the other agents have 1, who do you think they're legitimately going to call? It's going to be you. So be set up for success. This is one of those things that you don't see results for a couple years, but when you do, you're like, I'm glad I did that. So next is I'm going to talk about a specific app. I don't know if this is for Apple, and please give me an example of something that would be for Apple, but this is Google Keep. This is an app or website. You can use it in combination with your Google Calendar. And this is pretty much for me, my checklist tracker. Everything that I have to do for the day, or everything that I have to do for pretty much ever, from groceries to real estate, I put it in my checklist, and it's on my phone, super easy, and it stays there forever. And I can combine it with my woman, and we can both have the same list. So whenever we go grocery shopping, it's like, boom, we're done. Or if I'm on a real estate transaction, I can set up a checklist specifically for that transaction and share it with anybody I want. There are other apps that do it that cost money. This one is free, and it works really well. I don't ever have an issue. So the other thing I want to talk about is Gmail. That's an app and a website. You just need an email account, and that should be very obvious, I want to say. You need an email account. All right. So that is actually it for the episode. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this episode. This was terrifying. This is my first, I'm recording my podcast simultaneously while sending it over here. So this has been slightly terrifying, but totally worth it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to try to save this live stream and I'm going to try to put the podcast up later today. So a lot going on over here. Thank you guys for tuning in for my live stream. And I will see you guys on the next episode, which is
on the next episode of Big Mistakes in Real Estate.
We're actually going to be going over something that seems very silly. We're going to be going over highlighters and why to use them compared to these guys. I don't know if you can see these, but these are the Post-it and they say sign here and you stick them on there. And these seem like these would be a good idea, but are they actually a good idea? We're going to find out on the next episode. That it will be Little Mistakes in Real Estate, our spin-off series. They're less than 5 minutes long. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.